What if there is another unseen layer behind the world we are looking at? What I'm about to share is not history, not science, and I'm not claiming it to be the absolute truth either. This is simply my interpretation, from a spiritual and philosophical perspective. I want to share how I understand the Kali Yuga, time, and human consciousness. Back in 2014, someone asked me a question. If India is truly as great as you say, why is it facing so many crises today? Why has it fallen behind? This was my answer. In my view, during the Kali Yuga, India possesses the potential to serve as a lighthouse for the world. Because for thousands of years, this land has preserved Vedic wisdom, yoga, meditation, philosophy, spiritual knowledge, and ways of living in harmony with nature. Knowledge capable of guiding humanity from darkness into light. But according to my understanding, if all that wisdom had remained fully alive and accessible, the Kali Yuga may never have been able to express its complete nature. Because the Kali Yuga does not thrive on wisdom. It thrives on ignorance, not on unity, but on division, not on righteousness, but on self-interest, not on self-realization, but on external distractions and attachments. Therefore, for the Kali Yuga to unfold, wisdom must first weaken, ignorance must enter, spiritual awareness must decline, human beings must forget their true origins. That is why, in my view, India's vast treasury of knowledge gradually faded into obscurity. Scriptures were lost, universities were destroyed, culture weakened, society became divided by caste, religion, region, and language. Because it is difficult to push a united people into darkness. But a divided people can be influenced much more easily. That is why political invasions, economic exploitation, colonial rule, internal conflicts, and the destruction of educational systems are, in my view, processes that contributed to the flow of the Kali Yuga. Now, let me tell you something else. Sometimes life-changing ideas suddenly appear in our minds. Ideas capable of transforming not only our own lives, but even the world itself. Yet when we try to write them down, the notebook gets lost. If we save them on a phone, the file gets deleted. Or somehow, the idea slips away from our grasp. Why? According to my interpretation, some ideas possess the power to influence the course of time itself. Some ideas can change not only one person's life, but the thinking of an entire generation. If such ideas were implemented before time permits them, certain events that are meant to unfold according to the law of time may never happen. And so, time conceals those ideas until the right moment arrives. That is why I believe many of the ideas of people like Nikola Tesla never fully reached humanity. Humanity may have discovered many ways of living without harming nature. Yet those ideas never became globally adopted, because every age follows its own dharma, its own governing principle. Another example, Nalanda University. It is said that a single university burned for months. Just imagine how much knowledge, wisdom, and research must have existed there. It is painful to think about, but then a question arises. If our ancestors worked so hard to preserve this knowledge, if sages, philosophers, scientists, and seekers dedicated their entire lives to pass it on to future generations, then why was so much of it lost? Why were great universities destroyed? Why did divisions grow within society? Why did ignorance seem to spread faster than wisdom? The answer lies in Yuga Dharma. Every yuga has its own nature, its own purpose, its own lessons, and everything within that yuga unfolds according to that nature. If the full light of knowledge had remained available to everyone, perhaps the Kali Yuga could never have expressed its complete character. So knowledge faded, institutions fell, societies became divided, people became disconnected from their roots. Not because the efforts of our ancestors failed, but because the age itself was moving in a different direction. That is why, in my view, political invasions, colonial rule, social divisions, the destruction of learning centers, and the gradual loss of ancient knowledge were not isolated events. They became part of a much larger process. a process through which the Kali Yuga unfolded according to its own dharma. And that brings me back to the question I was asked in 2014. If India was truly so great, why did it fall behind? My answer was simple. Perhaps it did not fall behind because its ancestors lacked wisdom. Perhaps it happened because the dharma of the age demanded a different path. Yet from my philosophical perspective, perhaps some streams of knowledge had to be hidden away for the Kali Yuga to continue along its path. Knowledge never truly dies. It is merely concealed for a time. And when the moment is right, it returns to the light. That is why I believe this. Great ideas that can transform the world never die. Knowledge never dies. They simply wait for the right time, for the right age, for the right level of human consciousness. This is only my interpretation. You may agree with it, or you may disagree with it, but think deeply for a moment. Are we merely witnessing history, or are we watching a grand play being performed by time itself?